Using borders is a great way to give explicit definition to a table. You can add a thick border around an entire table, use dashed lines to separate rows, and use colored lines to separate columns. It's also important to note that although the grid lines that are present on Excel worksheet are very helpful to lining things up, typically we don't print grid lines when printing a presentation or a worksheet. So setting up borders on a cell or groups of cells will help us keep that tabular feeling on a printout. Let's scroll down and look at our Raymond's fruit stand where we've added some borders. Let's go ahead and look at this table with the grid lines turned off. So we'll go to our Layout tab and we'll turn the grid lines off. And now you see this table looks rather nice with the grid lines turned off. We've got a good separation of the total row, and we also have a way to separate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday by the blue dotted lines. And we have some light green dashed lines in between the products on each of the rows. So you can see how the borders can really add emphasis to a table, and especially when our grid lines are turned off, we can keep the separation of the different units. So what we're going to do in this example is we're going to turn all these borders off and we're going to rebuild them. So let's start off by highlighting our whole table and turning the borders off. And we'll do that by going to the Format menu and Cells, and then clicking on the Border tab. Now the first thing we're going to do is click None to turn all the borders off, and click OK. And now we're just going to put a thick border around that entire table. So we'll click on the Home tab, and in our Borders drop down, we'll click on the thick box border for our whole entire table. And click that, and we've got our thick border. Well, the next thing we want to do is put a double line on the total row. So let's highlight the total row, and then from the Format menu, let's choose Cells and Border again. Now this time we're going to use this little border control over here, and you'll see as we go through this exercise we have a lot of control of what we can do here. First thing we want to do is make it a double line, and then we want to set our color to red. And now that we have a double line red selected, let's click on the top border of this area. And what this will do is every cell we have selected, the top of it will get this red double line. So we'll click OK. And you see how we put that red double line there above the totals. Now let's add a few dashed row separators to our data area. So what we want to do here is highlight the rows that we want the separators for. And again, like we did with the red double lines for the totals, we'll go to our Format menu and Cells. And you see how I selected some cells where the bottom of that whole range has the double red underline. So it shows up on my little border tool. Well, now we're going to get just a single dashed line, and we're going to make it green, and we're going to put that in the middle. We want this to be in the middle of all that range of cells we selected. So we click OK. And you see how that added that green dashed line between our rows of data. And finally, we want to add dashed blue line to separate the fruit labels from the data. So let's just highlight the cells for Monday, and we'll go to our Format and Cells dialog box. This time we're going to use the left side, and we're going to use kind of a dot dash type of line and make that blue. And we'll put that on the left side of the cell we selected and click OK. And you see how that separated that section of the fruit from the actual days. And if I wanted to, I could do that for the other two. Well, in this lesson, we explored different font styles to change the look and feel of text in our spreadsheet. We learned how to change the font style and size, how to add effects and colors to our fonts, and lastly, we looked at the borders to see how we could really emphasize some other aspects of tables or cells to make things a little bit more pleasing. As you can tell, there are many ways to alter the look and feel of your spreadsheets, but keep in mind that consistency and simplicity are often greatly appreciated.